Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug. Streaming live on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure, all Bookmap limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure, trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also in Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel. That's a great place to post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of my presentation and the topics of the channel that I'll go through in just a moment. I'm also on X, formerly known as Twitter. My name there is @DougPless. Here are the key tenets to my approach for trading. This is the basis of my approach to trading. I believe that options trades and market maker hedging activity are key drivers of price in many stocks and futures, and certainly in the large cap tech stocks that I follow, like the Mag 7 stocks, as well as the equity index futures, like the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100. And for the S&P 500, SPX is the underlying index, SPY is the ETF version of that index, and ES is a derivative of SPX. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in SPX and SPY, market makers take the opposite side of those trades, and they hedge their delta exposure with ES futures. And for the NASDAQ 100, NDX is the underlying index. QQQ is the much more liquid ETF version of that index. And NQ is a derivative of NDX. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in NDX and QQQ, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with NQ futures. The focus of my presentation today and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as a directional bias. And the second step in my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma HERO to confirm my thesis, and for setups. And when I talk about setups today, I will be focusing on an underlying asset, and setups in that asset can be taken any number of ways. For example, the S&P 500 setups can be taken with ES futures, SPY shares, SPY options, SPX options, or even ES options. That's up to you and the way you like to trade in your account. Questions or comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel and Discord, as well as the chat and YouTube for your questions and comments. Please feel free to post. I'll do my best to answer your questions. And hello, Dan P. Welcome. Glad you're here. Hello, Greg. Welcome. Glad you're here as well. And hello, everyone else. Welcome. Glad you're here as well. Here's my agenda for today, Wednesday, May 8th. First of all, I want to go over news items, economic data, events, and earnings. It's a very light week this week. Then I'll go through my positional analysis. Then I'll review some setups from earlier today. And then I'll take a look at the live market. And when I get to the live market, if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know. I'll be glad to do that. And hello, Mark, using trading price and time method. Good afternoon. Welcome. Glad you're here as well. All right, let's get started with news for the week. So first of all, there was a Treasury 10-year note auction, 1 p.m. today. Did not seem much to be much of a market mover. And then on Thursday at 1 p.m., there's a 30-year bond auction. A variety of Fed speakers throughout the week. And then on Friday, the only really high-impact data release is Michigan consumer sentiment at 10 a.m. All right, so that's the news for the week. Again, a very light week. A little bit of a reprieve after the very busy week last week. All right, let's get started with positional analysis. I'm going to start with the SP 500. This is the ES Futures and Bookmap. And before I take a closer look at this chart, I want to take a look at a higher time frame. I'm going to go to the underlying index. That's SPX. And we've all seen this chart before very quickly. This rally began, 5-month rally began at the end of October last year. Correction began April 1st. And then the rally attempt began the Monday after the April 19th options expiration. All right, let's take a look now at another SPX chart. So that's a one-day chart. Let's take a look at a 1-hour chart to get a closer look at the most recent price action. Here's where the correction began, April 1st, and then the rally attempt, so far succeeding, began the Monday after April options expiration. Options expiration is often a turning point, can often be a turning point in the market, and it certainly was this time. All right, so let's focus more on current price action now. And I'll take a closer look at this in just a minute. So yesterday, the SPX was firmly rejected at the 5,200 call wall. More about that today. And today, this upper weekly expected move acting as resistance. All right, so let's take a closer look at the levels on this chart. So first of all, the dashed purple lines are showing the lower and upper weekly expected move. This is based on the options market, based on the closing price for SPX from last Friday. These levels remain in place for the entire week. So again, that level acting more or less as resistance earlier today. The dashed blue lines are showing the lower and upper daily expected move, also based on the options market. The closing price for SPX from yesterday. I update these levels in Discord every evening the day before. All right, let's take a look now at the Spotgamma levels on this chart. These are shown with dark red. These are proprietary Spotgamma levels that are provided to Spotgamma subscribers. They're available for a variety of trading platforms. This is Thinkorswim. I'm going to point out the key daily levels. First of all, here's the put wall at 5,000. That's a strike with the largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support. Note yesterday that level did move up to 5160, stayed there for one day, and then moved back down to 5,000 today. And 5,000 is also the absolute gamma strike. That's a strike with the largest absolute positive and negative gamma. So that's where most of the gamma-weighted open interest is concentrated at 5,000. And that level not in play for today. All right, the next level up is the volatility trigger. That's at 5165. That is Spotgamma's proprietary volatility flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure. That tends to enhance or increase volatility. Above that level, like SPX is trading right now, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. In a positive gamma environment, market makers have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. That tends to subdue or decrease volatility. And finally, the next level up, the key daily level, is the call wall at 5,200. It has been there for quite some time. That's a strike with the largest net positive gamma that can be expected to act as resistance. So the only shift in level for the SPX was the put wall shifting back down to 5,000 after a brief stay at 5160 yesterday. All right, let's wrap up our view of SPX by taking a look at a 1-minute chart just to get a closer look at the levels in play for today. This is SPX in a 1-minute chart showing 2 days worth of price action in the dark shaded areas. The reason I want to show this is to show first of all, the very firm rejection right at the 5200 call wall, almost to the tick, 5200.23. Note also the upper weekly expected move, acting as resistance yesterday, then support, and then resistance again today. Or not quite resistance, maybe just a little bit. SPX trading just a little bit below that level today. All right, so those are levels in play up above. Note that SPX did gap down and found support at the lower daily expected move just above the volatility trigger at 51.65. So SPX is trading above the volatility trigger. All right, let's go to Bookmap now. In Bookmap, I have my own cloud notes, so I can show these levels on my chart. So I can show SPX levels, also SPY levels. It looks like SPY levels more in play for today. First of all, here's the SPY 515 absolute gamma strike, acting as support before the cash open today. That's also the lower daily expected move for ES, calculated a little bit differently. I do calculate that independently or separately from the SPX, lower daily expected move. And here's the upper weekly expected move for ES, just above the SPY 516.0 gamma level. And then this 517 volatility trigger. Price did move above that, but it did act as resistance later after that excursion above that level. All right, so I have SPX levels, SPY levels on this chart, as well as key ES levels, all in one column here of cloud notes. And note there is a difference in price between ES and SPX that changes a little bit every day. Today it's 25. So again, ES minus SPX is 25 today. All right, let's move on. Take a look at NASDAQ. I do want to spend more time with setups today, so we'll just go over these levels pretty quickly. Here's NASDAQ, NQ futures and Bookmap. Pretty similar price action to ES. Quick move up, trend line break, then consolidation, grind lower. Let's take a look at the underlying index charts. First of all, here's QQQ in a 1-minute chart. Let me just point out these levels, 438. Toward the lower end of the price range today, large gamma 4 level, just above that 438.1, that's a combo 1 level, combining NDX and QQQ gamma weighted open interest into one level. And then 440 is the absolute gamma strike. So price did spend a lot of time around that 440 level and also that 439.86 combo 4 level just below that. Let's wrap up our view of the underlying index charts with NDX. Zoom in on this chart. So gap down earlier today, 18,000. That's the absolute gamma strike, acting as support. And this is interesting. The put wall is at 18,130, and that is above the call wall. That level did move up slightly moved up from yesterday. So that put wall for NDX acting as resistance. All right, I forgot to mention shifts in levels for SPY. For SPY, the volatility trigger and the call wall shifted higher. Call wall for SPY shifted up to 520. That is bullish. All right, and for NASDAQ, QQQ, there were no shifts in levels. And for NDX, both the volatility trigger and put wall, as I just mentioned, shifted higher. All right, let's go back to NQ now. So here's this cluster of levels, the QQQ 438 level, and there's that 18,000 level, more or less acting as support, a launching point for the long at the open, up to, again, the 18,130 put wall acting as resistance. All right, so that's NASDAQ. We'll go over setups in just a moment. Let's wrap up our positional analysis. And with Gamma Notional. I just want to take a quick look at market makers' position on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. This is Gamma Notional for SPX, SPY, NDX, and QQQ. Note all these numbers are positive with the exception of SPY. For SPX, this number is positive. So in a positive gamma environment, this indicates that for an index, traders are short calls, market makers are long calls, hence the positive gamma. They have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. In a positive gamma environment, I'm looking for lower volatility, more trading range rather than large trends. These numbers, again, with the exception of SPY, still positive, but less, so they moved down from yesterday. All right, so before that, the last 3 or 4 days, Gamma Notional had been moving higher, and now from yesterday to today, move lower, but still positive. All right, so my thesis for the day was slightly bullish for both the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, based on the SPY shifts higher in levels for the volatility trigger and call wall, and also the NDX shifts higher in levels. All right, so let's move on to take a look at some setups now. All right, so let's start with the S&P 500. We'll take a look at S&P 500, NASDAQ, and then we'll take a look at some stocks. All right, so the levels that we've just looked at, those are based on static data. Spotgamma takes open interest data, applies their own algorithms to that data to come up with the levels based on primarily gamma-weighted open interest. I look at how those levels shift every day to develop a thesis, a directional bias, as well as the Gamma Notional to get a sense of the expected trading range and movement for the day. All right, so now let's move on to execution, look at real-time data. All right, so I'm going to start with the S&P 500. And for the S&P 500, there are 2 hero signals. So what this chart is showing is it's the hero signal, HIRO. This is provided to Spotgamma subscribers, Hedging Impact Real-Time Options. What this chart is showing is a combined signal of options trades and market maker hedging activity in the SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures, all into one combined signal. There are 2 lines on this chart. The white line is showing price for SPX. The purple line is the hero signal. A rising purple line, a rising hero signal, indicates traders are taking positive delta options positions. They are buying calls and or selling puts. And a falling hero signal indicates they are taking negative delta positions. They're buying puts and or selling calls. All right, let's zoom in on this chart. All right, there are two signals, hero signals, that we can look at for the SP 500. Two combined signals we can also take a look at. SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures independently. I like to look at the combined signals. So this is the traditional signal that I was just talking about, the combined signal of SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures. And now there's a new signal. This has been just recently introduced. And this signal combines options trades and market maker hedging activity for all 500 components of the SP 500. And it's a very good signal. So now there are two choices, both the traditional S&P 500 and the S&P equities, both acting as very good signals today. So let's just let's stick with this S&P 500. Going to zoom in. All right, so what this is showing is just after a little bit of up and down at the open, starting around 9:35, traders were taking positive delta positions. Market makers take the opposite side of those trades, and they hedge their delta exposure by buying ES futures. And that really continued. The hero signal and price action continued to move higher until reversing right around 10:50. Traders started taking negative delta positions and price started to move lower. So we're looking from a long from around 9:35 to 10:50, and then either exiting that long or taking a short right around 10:50. All right, let's go to Bookmap. Go back to ES. I'm going to zoom in. So very steady uptrend here. Starting at the cash open. ES making a series of higher lows. So here's that 9:35 entry. So what this chart is showing, let's start with the volume dots. The volume dots are showing market buy minus sell. Magenta dots indicate there are more sellers than buyers. Green volume dots indicate more buyers than sellers. So in this case, magenta dots on the way down, aggressive buyers starting to come in, and that's pretty typical of every pullback. Magenta dots on the way down, green volume dots as buyers come in. Taking a look at the subchart, this rising magenta line is cumulative volume delta. So that's indicating that the cumulative volume delta is rising. Also, the rising yellow line indicates buy stop orders are helping to fuel the move higher. That's also shown by these on-chart indicators, these small green dots. So buy stop orders fueling the move higher. And somewhere about in the middle of this move, large iceberg orders come in. That's shown by the on-chart indicator as well as this light blue line. All right, let's scroll over a little bit to the left. So very steady uptrend, series of higher lows. You can again very clearly see the shift in the order flow with the volume dots. Magenta volume dots on the way down, green volume dots, aggressive buyers come in and price resumes moving higher. Then around 10:50, traders started taking negative delta positions. And note the liquidity in the order book. Just above at around 52.18. These are limit sell orders. So the heat map and Bookmap is showing a history of the limit orders in the euro book. Above price, those are limit sell orders. So they came in right around 10:50, and as price moved lower, they finally finally lifted those orders, but there were orders in the order book moving down. You can see this liquidity shifting down. All right, let's zoom out now. So after traders started taking negative delta positions, price moved down, started to grind lower, making a series of lower highs, maybe trying to come back now. All right, so it looks like this downtrend may be broken. Let's see what options traders are doing right now. Go back to HERO. Zoom back out. So it looks like the SP 500 signal is starting to move higher now. Let's check the S&P Equities signal. Also starting to move higher. All right, let's move on. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. So for NASDAQ, there are two signals. Let me zoom out. First of all, the traditional signal is NASDAQ. This is similar to the SP 500, combining options trades and market maker hedging activity for NDX and QQQ. Another signal that I've been using for the NASDAQ is this MAG7 signal. This is another combined signal that combines options trades and market maker hedging activity for the stocks known as the Magnificent Seven. That is Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, NVIDIA, and Tesla. And these stocks make up a very large component of the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 as well, and often drive price. All right, let's zoom in. All right, so we understand what both these signals are. This is the one that, again, I've been recently using for NASDAQ, but today, this signal is providing a very good signal as well. This NASDAQ signal here as well as the MAG7 signal. So let's just take a look at this signal. So very similar to the SP 500, traders taking positive delta positions from the open. That pretty much abruptly halts right around 1050. And at this case, again, that was at the NDX 18130 put wall. As traders stopped taking positive delta positions, started taking negative delta positions. So let's go back to Bookmap. Go to NQ. So very similar price action again. Zoom in. Support around the cash open at this cluster of levels. These QQQ 438 levels and also NDX 18,000 absolute gamma strike. Aggressive buyers come in, shown by the green volume dots. Green volume dots at every pullback. Up to the 18,130 put wall. As options traders start taking negative delta positions, aggressive sellers start to come in and price moves lower. Taking a look at the subchart, very similar to the SP 500. Cumulative volume delta rising, as well as buy stop orders, shown by the rising yellow line fueling the move higher. All right, let's go back and check HERO. So actually one more thing. Very similar price action to the S&P 500 today. Looks like this downtrend may be broken now. Price trying to move higher. Let's go back and take a look at HERO. Zoom all the way out. So the NASDAQ signal now starting to move higher. Let's check the MAG 7 signal. Also starting to move higher. Note this number today, 175 million. That's very, very small. Let's check the SB Equities. 395 million. That's also very small. Very, very small. That number can, for the SP 500, can be in the billions. All right, so a little bit higher for the SP 500, just under 2 billion. All right, let's take a look at some stocks. So today I want to take a little bit different approach and take a look at some stocks that that were in the news today. And I'm going to start with Shopify. There were a number of stocks that reported earnings yesterday. And I'm going to start with Shopify. And then we'll get to our large cap tech stocks in just a minute. So this is Shopify. Going to zoom in. So from the open, traders were taking negative delta positions. That really continued throughout the morning, shown by the falling purple line. Also a flow alert. So if you're watching Shopify and ready at the open, you see that flow alert. Let's shift to puts and calls, see what traders were doing. So they were buying puts and selling calls. That's shown by the falling blue line and orange line. Sorry about that. Let's jump back. I'm going to stick with the total signal here. So a flow alert right at the open, falling HERO Signal. So let's go to Shopify. Pretty choppy price action. Note I don't have my price lines levels on this chart. So it may be a little bit more difficult to identify the round number levels. So I'll just zoom in really on the first hour here. All right, so you would have to be ready at the cash open for this move lower. Very quick, 5 minutes. Take a short. So if you got in just above 63, price moved down to right around 61, liquidity at that level. So primary targets for a move lower, liquidity at 61 and higher liquidity. These are limited buy orders in the order book, acting as a magnet for price. So a couple of points, 2-point move lower in Shopify, then pretty much chop after that. All right, the next one is Uber. Let's take a look and see what options traders are doing in Uber. Go to Uber. So this is a pretty interesting pattern. I want to point this out. So earlier, first thing in the morning, about 9:35, Uber moved up, chopped around. Note the HERO signal here. A cluster of flow alerts. Pretty close to each other. The The HERO Signal not really moving a lot, especially after 950. So a series of flow alerts very close to each other. That is a signal of chop, consolidation. And then this next flow alert comes in a little bit separately from the other flow alerts, a little bit more spacing between the third and fourth flow alert. This is a breakout signal. In this case, a breakdown signal. So the HERO Signal starts to move lower. This next flow alert comes in, and you would interpret this as a breakdown signal. So let's see what happened. This is just after, let's say around 10:15, this flow alert comes in. We'll check that time. Flow alert comes in 10:15. So let's go to Bookmap. Let's zoom in on this. All right, so quick move up in price, then consolidation. That fourth flow alert, that breakdown signal, comes in right at 9:15. And Uber breaks down below that price that had acted as support right around 66, then breaks below VWAP, that's shown by the light blue line. Whoops, wrong tool. So nice breakdown signal in Uber there. So for those of you who use HERO, that's another signal, another setup in HERO to put in your playbook. So move down from 66 back down to 64. All right, let's take a look at Reddit, and then we'll get to the large. Let's see what options traders were doing in Reddit. Zoom in. So no alerts here. But the HERO Signal has been moving lower. Note from the open, very sharp drop in the HERO Signal. Traders taking negative delta positions. Some consolidation, then HERO Signal moves lower. Price pretty much responding. Note the 50 level, that is the call wall, key delta strike and key gamma strike. So important level there at 50, where most of the gamma weighted open interest is concentrated, and that level did act as support. So if you are fast at the open, short at 54, all the way down to 50 eventually. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. So it looks like Uber actually opened. This is the opening print. At 55, traders were taking negative delta positions. And Reddit below VWAP, all the way down, pullback entries. Here's the first, I guess, reasonable pullback entry at 53. And that was at right around 9:39. So a move from 53 down to the 50 key gamma strike, key delta strike, call wall. So pretty quick move down, 3-point move in Reddit. Again, from 53 down to 50 as traders were taking negative delta positions. Hello, Stephen. Welcome. Glad you're here. And DD says vol is a little low on your end. And I've done everything I can to boost my microphone, DD. It may be, if anybody else is having a problem with the volume, please let me know. But the software that I'm using to stream to YouTube looks like my volume is good. I have boosted my volume in the software that I use to stream. All right, let's take a look at some large cap tech stocks. I want to start with AMD. All right, so nice move higher in the morning, then a reversal lower. Almost back down to 152.50. Let's see what that level is. That's actually the hedge wall. All right, so let's go take a look at AMD now. Zoom in. And I'm actually going to shift to calls, so I'm going to have to zoom. Go back to AMD. All right, so the things to note here. Traders were buying calls from the open. That's shown by the rising orange line. Rising orange line, traders buying calls. When traders buy calls, market makers sell the calls, and they have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. AMD moved down to the 152.50 hedge wall. That as traders were buying puts, shown by the falling blue line, at 9:35, they start selling puts. That's shown by the rising blue line. So starting right around 9:35, traders were buying calls and selling puts. Both lines moving in the same direction, in this case up. That's a very bullish directional signal. Supported the hedge wall, traders start selling puts, continue to buy calls. Price moves up until call buyers and put sellers take their foot off the gas. And that was, let's say around 10 a.m., 9:55, 10 a.m. Pretty typical pattern, except the options traders took their foot off the gas pretty early this morning. So the move higher lasted for about an hour. Note this large vertical line in the call signal. That's a large block order, institutional order, indicating a large order selling calls. And that's when NVIDIA, AMD started to move lower. All right, so let's go back to Bookmap. All right, so quick move higher. Let's zoom in on this. $152.50 hedge wall. If you were fast and ready, waiting for AMD, entry point for a long. As traders continue to buy calls, started to sell puts. Note the liquidity at that level. Again, the 152.50 hedge wall. Those are limit buy orders. AMD remained well above VWAP, pullback entry, and then starts to consolidate as options traders take their foot off the gas, and then starts to make a series of lower highs. Whoops. All right, so now AMD consolidating above that 152.50 level. Let's go back to HERO. All right, the next stock I want to take a look at is Meta. Very typical price action for Meta. Aggressive call buyers first thing in the morning. Price responds higher very quickly. Call buyers level off, then finally take their foot off the gas around 11. Now price consolidating. And note they were also selling puts up until about 10:50, 11 a.m. That's shown by the rising blue line. They also take their foot off the gas. So let's go take a look at Bookmap. Go to Meta. Again, a very typical price action for Meta. Strong move higher. First thing in the morning, options traders take their foot off the gas and price moves lower or consolidates. Note all the aggressive buyers shown by the green volume dots, multiple green volume dots, pullback entries as options traders slowed down. And the final price target, 475, high liquidity at that level, limit sell orders, acting as a magnet for price. Note also the rising cumulative volume delta. All right, one thing I wanted to point out, one way to recognize this I'm going to rank my HERO Signal. What this is showing is I have ranked my HERO Signal. This is the stock screener below this list. This is my watch list. So I've ranked the HERO Signal from strongest to weakest. Earlier today, the order was shifted a little bit. Meta was at the top, Microsoft just under that. What this is showing is the strength of the HERO Signal for the last 30 days. That's the entire length of the slider, as well as the last 5 days. That's the colored portion. So the HERO Signal not as strong as it was earlier today, but it is showing definitely in the upper half of both the 30-day and 5-day range. Same for Microsoft. So that's why I'm looking at these two stocks. So let's go to Microsoft now. So that's one way to identify stocks, either with a very strong HERO Signal or a weak HERO Signal, identifying stocks to trade. So here we see again in Meta that traders were aggressively buying calls at the open. Let's take a look at Microsoft. It took a little while for the call buyers to get going, but they did come in. The flow alert comes in right around 10:15, and traders start buying calls more aggressively at that point. And Microsoft did breach its 410 call wall. That's also the key gamma strike. 407.50 is the hedge wall. So let's go take a look at Bookmap. Go to Microsoft. All right, remember 407.50, the hedge wall. Actually, so that's about where price open, maybe just a little bit of that, move lower. That big green volume dot is the opening print. $410 call wall key gamma strike. Price breached that level. So with a call wall breach, that's where most of the calls are concentrated. For a stock, Spotgamma assumes that traders are long calls, market makers are short calls. As price moves up, those short calls go deeper in the money, and market makers have to continue to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. All right, so those are the stocks with the strongest hero signals today, Meta and Microsoft. All right, does anyone have any stocks they want me to take a look at? These are the only stocks that I wanted to take a look at. That's all I have on my list. Does anyone have any stocks they want me to take a look at? I'll be glad to do that. We can take a look at NVIDIA, see what's happening there. Let's see what options traders are doing. All right, WRB wants to take a look at Tesla. Let's do that. Strong bullish day here in Tesla. Let's see what options traders are doing. I'm going to shift to the total signal. That usually works pretty well for Tesla. Well, let's try puts and calls. No, let's go to the total signal. Pretty choppy hero signal. Not providing as much clarity as some of the other stocks today. Overall, though, making a series of higher highs up until about 10:45. All right, so I would say overall, though, not as much help for the hero signal from the hero signal for Tesla as some of the other stocks that we just looked at, especially Meta. All right, let's go back to but just looking at the chart, price action pretty clear. Series of higher lows, nice pullback entries. First pullback entry to VWAP. Now, as options traders did take their foot off the gas. Tesla's consolidating. It took a while for aggressive buyers start to come in. Just after 10:30, the cumulative volume delta line starts to rise. All right, let's go back to Hero. Let's see if there are any recent signals. All right, so the most recent signal is for IWM. I don't have that in a Bookmap. Pretty choppy signal. It looks like another somewhat of a breakout signal, a cluster of levels. At the open, this one further away. Not much of a breakout, though. So not much there with IWM. Let's go back to NVIDIA. Up and down day in NVIDIA. Shift to puts and calls. Go back to NVIDIA. So it looks like earlier today, put sellers shown by the rising blue line, driving price higher. They take the foot off the gas right around 10:50, pretty common time. They were already selling calls starting about 10:30. NVIDIA moved lower. Let's go back to Bookmap. Go to NVIDIA. So pretty choppy action after the options traders took their foot off the gas right around 10:50. Let's check. See what NVIDIA is doing right now. See what options traders are doing. So traders continue to sell puts. Let's see if there's any more clarity. Yeah, a little bit more clarity with the total signal. Let's go back to NVIDIA. 900 is the key gamma strike. That's been an important level. Looks like it did act as support, more or less. Starting around 130, 145. As we zoom in, we see the strong correlation between options trades and market maker hedging activity. So starting around 140, traders resume taking positive delta positions. Support somewhere around the 900 level. Now NVIDIA moving higher. Let's go back to Bookmap. Note in the subchart here, and this is the widget for it. This is the market pulse. There are a number of algorithms, and I've used the volume pressure imbalance, VPI, as well as this price change. I like this price change very well. So that's what's shown in the subchart here, this white line that has green at the top at the upper extremes, red at the lower extremes. You can change those in the settings. And as price is moving higher, this can be somewhat of an indication of safer entry points, more deeper pullbacks. So these two, this little double bottom here, right around 899, line up with these red extremes in the market pulse volume pressure indicator, price change indicator. Here's another pullback here, lining up with this, again, red extreme in the price change, indicating a good entry point for long. Note also the cumulative volume delta may be a little bit hard to see with the price change on there, but it is rising. Cumulative volume delta rising. And you can also see in the green volume dots, aggressive buyers come in on these pullbacks. Aggressive buyers. Another pullback entry right to VWAP, lining up with the red in the price change. VWAP acting as resistance earlier. now support. So it took a while, but nice move up from 5-point move up from 900 right around 140 to 905 at 230. All right, so nice long setup there in NVIDIA from 900 to 905. Prior resistance. Let's go back, check HERO once again. All right, so the HERO signal continues to rise. Traders continue to take positive delta positions. Helping to confirm that move higher right around 140 at the 900 level up to 905. All right, everyone, my time is up. I want to thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your questions and comments. Have a great afternoon, everyone, and I will see you on Friday. Thanks again. Bye.